Selah, Shalom in the building. Blessings, peace, shalom, hotep, all the greetings that come with what we got going on over there. Yes. Sometimes you just step on the door foot. That happens sometimes. They don't want to walk. Come on. Yeah, let me take that off. Take that vibration off. Wow. Now it's a go. Yes, family. You know what I mean? We outside. You know what I mean? Getting that exercise in, yo. You know what I mean? Once you get about 3 days of exercising in, then it starts to feel like regular routine. You know what I mean? Once you crack that third day. Yeah, so I'm just coming on live for a hot second, yo. Chiming in. See what's good with the family. Or just holler. Just holler. You know what I mean? What's the jewels for the day? It's a vibe. You dig? It's a vibe. It's a vibe going on. Yeah, I'm walking these man eaters. Y'all want to see? Yeah. They happy to be outside getting this workout. Dig? Working the physical body is, you know what I mean? Strengthening the physical body, strengthening the spirit as well. I mean, if the spirit resides in the body, and you strengthen the body, well, you strengthen the spirit as well. It coincides. It's bro, it's kind of chilly out here today. You feeling that? Yeah, though. It was crazy how the crime going right now, yo. A lot of shootings going on right now. A lot of bodies dropping. So what does that say? Where is this rise of crime coming from? Where is this? You know, it's just not in one city. It's all over. You know what I mean? They say, it had to do with the pandemic. You know what I mean? Take notes. Because prophecy rolls in cycles. Things rolls in cycles. But watch me talk about the timetables of prophecy and how they are broken down in a cycle, starting from 11 years, 33 years, 66, 99. Those are the basis roots of the timetables of prophecy. And these cycles repeat themselves. So when you look at the Spanish flu, and you compare the Spanish flu to the COVID, it's the same thing. Spanish flu, they had to wear masks. Look up the Spanish flu and look how they wearing masks, just the same way we wearing masks today. That was 100 years ago. 100-year cycles, 99-year cycles based off that prophecy. When you understand them timetables of prophecy, you could forecast events based off the recorded history, using that as a guide. Yes, sir. Eric, what's good? I see you, King. Shalom, bro. Yeah, man, just out here enjoying the nature, enjoying the walk. You dig? Yeah, though. You know what I mean? When you see an increase of evil, where's that inspiration coming from? You know what I mean? One is definitely the environment. But what pushes the man to want to shed blood on the way they doing it? You brush me, coming out the store, you mean mug me, and it's a shootout. Yeah, it's a lot of tension in the air, yo. And the unseen rules over the seen. So there's something going on in the unseen realm, dealing with evil. that is inspiring mortals to do evil, whether it be through the environment, through the music, through the TV shows. Or watch me talk about how there's hundreds of thousands, millions upon millions of wandering spirits, spirits of darkness on the surface of the earth. These are spirits who life got cut short, and they're not aware of the spiritual progression. They become lost in spirit. They have no understanding of the life after death, like how we explain it and breaking it down. So if we pass over, we have a better way to deal with death than the person who has no understanding of spirituality and its progressions. People like that have a hard time when they cross over. It takes a lot of labor with them in spirit to actually let them know that they're dead and that they're in spirit, because they'll still try to convince you that they're not dead because they're alive in spirit, but they was unaware how the spirit world works. So they're in denial. And then you got those who get killed, you know what I mean? Dramatically, you know what I mean? In the heat of the passion of the moment. You know what I'm saying? They cross over in spirit chaotically. You know what I mean? So evil people, when they cross over, become evil spirits or evil angels. And keep in mind of the thousands and hundreds and millions upon millions of angels that's on the surface of the planet, wandering spirits. In the years these angels been in the realm prior to you coming over. So you have evil angels that been in the realm a couple hundred years, and they charted this shit out. They know how to work this shit. While you knew coming over, you was evil, but you don't know the ways of the spirit yet, or the ways of the angelic side. Nor do you know the ways how to influence mortals on the angelic side, because you just came over. But you have evil spirits that are, you know what I mean, masters in that department. So when you see this evil influence arising on the earth, wars, gang wars, neighborhood wars, block wars, that just shows an increase of evil spirits on the surface of the earth. Because you got people on the surface of the earth that have been around for a couple of hundreds of years. They have not ascended. So what you'll find is that there's more angels on the earth than in the first, second, and third resurrection. The greatest number of angels is on the earth. Because you got deities who's here. You got people who've been here from the 1700s, from the 1800s, from the 1900s. They spirits still lingering on earth, while people still getting killed every day. So look at the multitude of spirits lingering on the earth that haven't ascended yet due to lack of resurrection, due to a lifestyle they may have been living while on earth that wasn't conducive to spiritual growth. So they lost momentarily. That was good. No doubt. But you know, you want to be mindful of these evil spirits, yo. These evil angels, they out here running rampant right now. If you want to see what's going on in the unseen world, just watch what's going on in the seen world. Because the unseen influence the seen. So with bloodshed and war going on, those are angels in the spirit world with that inspiration going on over there. You got angels that inspire men to go to war. Then you got angels that receive the spirits of the dead in battle. So just imagine that. You inspire mortals to go to war, and then the gang leader of them, the gang leader, the angel gang leader, says, all right, after you inspire them to go to war, while they're in battle. The ones that get murked, collect their souls and bring them to me. That's what the angels are saying. That's they benefit of inspiring mortals to collect souls and bring the souls to his heavenly kingdom. Make them subservient slaves. You know what I mean? Punish, torture them if they're on his side. It may be the ops. They may take the spirit of the ops and confine them in the wall of fire. You know what I mean? Gaseous aromas of fire. Foul smelling gases like the wasp be described. When angels go to war, they make places of torment for the enemies. Same way we do on earth. It goes on the same way in the spirit world. But these are wandering gang spirits. They don't move in no religious order. They move like gangs. This is what you call angels below the grade. Those below the grade, their duty is to inflict harm on others. That's what they do, inflict harm. They up to no good. They seem to have some major worldwide influence. Yeah, that's right. Because it's global. If it's 8 billion people on the planet, the spirits are double and triple that. Because the spirits that are on the surface are still lingering. You know what I'm saying? So mortals only live for a certain amount of period of time. Let's just put a cap of 120 years that mortals live. So the earth will never become overpopulated because mortals will die and it'll leave more room for new mortals to come. You know what I mean? But when you cross over in spirit and you pass through death where there is no more death and you just become a lingering spirit, now now there's in the spirit world now, things are multiplying pretty quick. And the more spirits that are engulfed on the earth, they have a great influence on mortals through their presence. You know what I mean? My man eaters right here. They walking me. You know what I mean? My little man eaters. But you know, their influence is all over the planet. Because it's not just in America there's crime going on, or war and murder. It's happening in America, South America, the Caribbeans, you know, Europe, Ukraine, Afghanistan, Asia, China, Africa. There's bloodshed going on all those continents. And all those people crossing over in spirit, their spirits are still there lingering. And the spirits that have been lingering for a long time, they know what to do with the newcomers. Because they've been there long enough to see how it works. Almost like guardian angels. Like guardian angels know what to do. And the angels who collect the souls after death know what to do. Because it's a system in order that they've been showed to when they came over in the spirit world. So now for the evil angels, they'll use that same system in order, but for evil. So they'll inspire mortals, or they'll be a guardian over a mortal for evil influence, to inflict evil on people. So when you come across evil people, know that the guardian angel, or the angel that's inspiring them through their behavior. Because like I said, everybody's assigned a guardian angel. And that guardian angel can influence you, because the unseen rules over the seen. For example, I could be talking to y'all right now. My guardian angel may hit me and was like, yo, turn around, go the other way. You know what I mean? That voice just came out of nowhere. I wasn't thinking of that. But that discernment hit within and just say, yo, turn around. That's how you use discernment to know when your guardian angel is talking to you. Because if your guardian angel is connected to the Creator, that's the voice of the Creator talking to the guardian angel talking to you. It's like a tube effect. Come on. It's like a tube effect. It's like going through channels of tubes. You know what I mean? Coming from the source through the tubes to you. The tubes are just like the guardian angels, carrying a message to your soul. Huh? Oh, no, you good, sis. All right. Yeah. Little shorty walking the dog and shit. So she can cross the street, because my man needs to be ready to attack, you dig? My little man needs to be on go. They trying to go now. Look. And they keep looking back like, yeah, where that meat at? I need blood. Jado, be mindful of the spirits of darkness, yo. They got just a strong influence too. You know what I mean? Come on. Kenny, what's good? Shalom, out. Yeah. That's why you got to be fortified in your faith in the Creator. Because everything is a play on evil right now. Everything is low vibrational frequency right now. When you look at the music, it's low vibrating. You know what I mean? Ain't no consciousness in the hip hop. Everything is strip club, shorties half naked. You know what I mean? Niggas got guns and drums in the video. I ain't mad at them. I come up in the culture. I understand it. I'm part of that shit. But as you get older, you use discernment and wisdom, and you see where things is headed. I remember when I was coming up, we had gunplay in our raps and shit. So I can't sit there and be like, oh, nah. Nah, we was talking about hitting hits and knocking heads off. Even now, I still got music talking like that. You know what I mean? Dealing with hip-hop music. Because I deal with the culture. I deal with hip-hop. I deal with it. I'm not going to be super over-spiritual with hip-hop now. I still got street music for the people who ain't spiritual to feel. And then when they come this way, they see, oh, he on that type of time. But I'm a street nigga like everybody else. You dig? Yeah, though. You gotta watch them. You gotta watch them spiritual, them evil angels. They out here trying to put that pain in. Trying to collect souls, the reaper, the soul collector. That's the whole purpose of the angels. You know what I mean? So that's their duty, to collect souls. You know what I mean? On the spiritual side, the benefit is influencing the mortal, and when they cross over, they be part of your team. So collecting souls is the reward in the spiritual world. if you on that false God type of time. Because true God don't collect souls in the sense of kidnap you and confining you. If he's collecting your soul, it's to redeem you and prepare you and educate you to raise in the schools and the grades. But if a false God collect your soul, he's there to make you a worshiper of him. And what he's going to do is use you to build, you know what I mean, his heavenly kingdom. It may be, a couple of roadways over here that may need building. It's unconstructed. He may need 200,000 servant slaves, angel slaves, to fulfill that labor. And by you doing that work, you know what I mean, you'll get some points. You know what I mean? I may give you a house in the kingdom. You know what I mean? Give you a 3-bedroom apartment in the kingdom for doing that labor. That's how the false gods is going to play you. You know what I mean? They're going to greet you with respect. They ain't going to treat you like no tyrant, because their whole agenda is to keep you. So the false gods, they highly respectful. But the angels that's not highly respectful is the drudges, the spirits of darkness, the evil angels. You know what I mean? The gangbangers. The one who don't do no religion, who don't know nothing about no God, but they out here committing evil practice. Those are the ones you got to watch for. Those are the ones, when you cross over with them, they going to try to do harm to you. For example, Crips and Bloods. If some Bloods caught some Crips slipping, bang, 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 killed them up. Now keep in mind, it's angels around inspiring that as well. So when them cats die, it's angels on the opposite team to collect them souls, to take them back over here, to show the boss that, look, boy, we done caught 2 bodies and captured their souls. Here they go, what you want to do with them? All right, put them in the torture chamber. These are how the angels talk in the spirit. The same way we would do on earth, but the practice is continued in spirit, in the unseen realm. And the unseen have more influence than the seen. So when you come across angels that have been in the realm longer, they have ways of manipulation that they can manipulate us. You know what I mean? They may use objects. They may use an animal. Damn loose dog may come out of nowhere. Your ass up there running. But this nigga done inspired that shit to happen in the spirit to show his followers, his minions, let me show you how this shit work. He don't even know I did that. He thinking that's just a dog that just came out of the woods just chasing him for no reason. But I inspired that to happen. That's the intelligence that these false gods or the angelic world is on. You know what I mean? The WASP shows that. It shows how these angels use cunning ways and deceptive methods to kidnap the souls of mortals. First, inspiring them in the doctrine, getting them to believe the doctrine. Because once you believe the doctrine and believe the God, now they got you hook, line, and sinker. It's just a matter of time for you dying and they collect your soul. Because you're already going to have it on your mind at death that you're going to go see Jesus. Or you're going to go to 70 virgins in paradise. You already got your mind made up for that. So these deities is going to fulfill that for you. They're going to bring you to the 70 virgins. They're going to bring you to a guy on the throne looking like Jesus. First off, those systems and orders already been set up thousands of years ago. So that base is already there. Oneness was good. Shalom. More praise to the Creator. I'm here. See you. Tamika was good. Tamika London. Shalom, 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 shalom alaikum. But yeah, you know what I mean? The spiritual side, see, I like to keep it realistic. Like when I say spiritual, to me personally, that's kind of abstract. It goes everywhere. You don't really put a thumbnail on what the fuck you mean when you say spiritual. So I say atmospheric, because that's realistic. When you look up, that's the atmosphere. And in the OSP it says the atmosphere are the heavens. So when we cross over in spirit, or when we shed this physical body, our angelic body is atmospheric. We take on a new body, an atmospheric body. So you got the corporeal body that comes through being born in a corporeal world. And then after you shed this corporeal body, you'll get an atmospheric body. You know what I mean? And for each atmosphere you rise in, your body takes on change to the condition of that density of that atmosphere. So when you're in the first atmosphere, which would be the first heaven, you'll have an atmospheric body conducive to that region. When you move up into the second heaven, where the vibrational frequencies is going to be faster than the first heaven, your body's going to take on change, because now the vibrational frequency is faster than in that realm. So your body got to be conducive to the vibrational frequency of that realm. So you'll have an increase in body in that second atmospheric heaven. And then the same rules apply with the third heaven, which will be moving at a faster vibrational frequency than the second heaven. So again, your atmospheric body will have to take on the density and the vibrational frequency of that realm. So you'll, in part, will increase your spiritual body or magnify. You know what I mean? So your body spiritually or atmospherically takes on changes as you move up in the realm. The same way we born and we grow, the same way you don't look the same as you did when you were 7 years old. You know what I mean? If somebody seen you when you were 7 years old and they see you today, they ain't gonna recognize you. You're gonna look totally different. So same goes with the spiritual body. As you progress spiritually or atmospherically in the atmosphere, your body will adapt to the atmospheric layers belonging to the plateaus. And when it's time to graduate and go into Etheria, guess what you're going to be called? An Etherian angel. Because your body is going to be conducive to the vibrational frequencies of Etheria, which supersedes the speed of Earth and its atmosphere and its atmospheres. So Etheria is moving at a faster vibrational frequency than all three of the atmospheres belonging to the Earth. And the etherian bodies are adapted to that realm. You know what I mean? So when you see an etherian angel and an atmospheric angel, it's different in glory due to the vibrational frequencies. So that's the spiritual science, or the angelical science, or the atmospheric science of the spiritual side of this thing. You have Earth, atmosphere, and etheria. For every planet, it's an Earth and an atmosphere engulfed. And then outside the Earth and this atmosphere is etheria. So just imagine blowing bubbles out, and you got 10 bubbles. Those bubbles will represent the vortex and the Earth in the center, and all the space outside the bubble will be etheria. So you got 10 bubbles, and all the spaces outside the bubble, just the regular common space outside the bubble, that'll be etheria. But you would be subjected to one of those bubbles as a planet. So if you got 10 balls, 10 bubbles, you blow out 10 bubbles, within those bubbles, in the center are the planets and humans, all engulfed in that bubble. But it's a time when they're going to graduate out that bubble into the etheria, into the space, and go into the etherian kingdoms and be subjected to the etherian kingdoms, learn, be educated. And then the etherian, like I said, time is not the issue, because you got lessons that'll be taught that may last 10,000 years, one lesson, like school. You know, we go to school at what, 8:45 in the morning, we get out at what, 3:15? I just imagine having a school day that lasts 10,000 years. Not one day, but a course, I should say. A course to graduate from the apprentice state to becoming a certified, bona fide craftsman in that craft. That may be a 10,000 year course. You know what I mean? That's how OWASP shows you the progression in the spiritual world. There's certain courses you're going to have to learn that's going to require maybe 100 years, 50 years. And as you advance, the expand of years grow with it. So you may have a course that may be 2,000 years, 3,500 years. And as you advance, the course comes with it. You know what I mean? In the OWASP, it talks about angels that deal with, you know what I mean, solar system. They, like I said, the duty of the etherian angels is to manage worlds. You know what I mean? Worlds are organic. It has pulsating life. Some worlds don't. You know what I mean? But they may go to a desolate planet to go do some work there. You know what I mean? Whatever the work may require. They may be like, all right, go over there. I want y'all to boom, build up some blocks, put some pyramids here. I want to show as a sign of this desolate planet, when the inhabitable age come around, that these monuments was already here when man was created. So when man becomes conscious and starts to study history of his planet and see these monuments, that'll be the biggest mystery, not knowing that these monuments was built by the angels prior to man's creation. See that? Because the angels' duty is to manage worlds. So they could come to a world, a physical world, and actually move some physical things around. Like you may see some abnormal structures with rocks. Like you may see a big ass stone standing on a little ass rock, but that shit been there for eons. It's just been there. Just like man came across it like that. Ain't no caveman or ain't no man picking up, you know what I mean, 5, 10 rocks and then holding it on a littler rock and let it sit there and it holds itself like that. Nah. You know what I mean? Just using that as an example that these angels can touch down and act as terrestrial beings on physical planets, along with the same in the atmospheric world. They can act in the atmospheric world, build structures there too. Because for every atmosphere, for every level, it's cities, pavements, streets, vehicles, in every round. We just at the bottom. When you look up like that, the same shit going on here is going on up there. Just moving at a faster vibrational frequencies. If the vibrational frequencies up there, if that shit was to slow down to our vibrational frequencies, our vibrational frequencies up there, nigga, this shit'll come tumbling down. Shit'll come tumbling down from the heavens. because the density would have got enough to where it would have been drawn in. It would have been drawn in like a meteorite, drawn in a vortex, and it would have come crashing down on Earth if them heavenly kingdoms was to be the same vibrational frequency that we have, which is 700, 800 nanometers. You know what I mean? Let the gamma rays slow down. Let the gamma rays slow down its light to 700, 800 nanometers. It'll be drawn in us. It'll be drawn in. It'll be drawn in the visible light. You see gamma rays, that shit'll blind your eye. That's like a blatant white light. You can't even look at it because you go blind. That shit is too strong for your eyesight because it's moving at a vibrational frequency that could cause harm to your eyesight because that's not conducive to your vibrational frequency to see. You know, our vibrational frequency, 700 to 300 nanometers. We be affected to any nanometers outside of that range, it'll affect us. You know what I mean? Put your hand in the microwave. That's low vibrational frequency. That's outside of visible light. But put your hand in the microwave and see if your hand don't burn up. It's not conducive. It's outside of our range. Question, Agni. Agni is like a smoke, like a spiritual smoke, a spiritual fire. You know what I mean? They use that sometimes to wall up the heavenly kingdoms. You know what I mean? Hedge it around like they would hedge some bars. It's like a fence in a sense, but it's like smoke and fire as the material. I wish the OSB gives a book for Fiatas. Yeah, she was the highest ranking goddess during the time of the flood in the Ark of Noah, the deluge, the sinking of Pan. She outranked all the gods and goddesses. And her resume is stupid crazy. This chick got to be like over 2 million years old. You know what I mean? Coming back to what I was saying, in the OSB, the gods and goddesses got resumes. And these resumes are the labor of their works. No different than your work resume. You know what I mean? If you're 40 years old and you started working at 16, 18, 19, oh, that's on your work resume. So you go to a new job, you hit them with the resume. They're like, damn, okay, you've been working since 94, 95, okay. You know what I mean? You've been working at Long John Silver's for 2 years when you started, okay. And you went to Pizza Hut for 4 years, okay. Then you started working at UPS, you was there for 8 years. You see how that resume is read? In the OSB, the God's resume is read like that. But their resume is the labor that they do in the cosmos. So you may have a God for one of his apprenticeship is to build roadways into heaven from this point to that point. And that may take 2,000 years to do. And when he accomplished that work, that's on his resume. So when Jehovah calls certain angels to do certain tasks, it's that resume. It's that resume. You know what they say, multitask? Yeah. You know what I mean? Controller of vortices. You got angels that their duty is to control vortices, meaning to manage them. You know what I mean? Manage the vortex. Because if somebody spins something, that means that rotation is gonna eventually slow down and stop unless somebody put more spin on it. You know what I mean? That's just how that's common sense. If I spin a top, you know, like the little tops you spin and it spin like a little tornado, like a little vortex, and that should be swinging. Like when you first do it, you do a good one, spin that bitch. That should be like, that should be looking like that shit ain't about to fall no time soon. It be spinning. But what happens eventually? That shit starts slowing down. So you have angels, their duty is controllers of vortices. They got to maintain the vortex. Make sure that vortex maintains that speed, because that speed got to do with the effect of the planet. If that vortex is too fast or too slow, it'll cause instability on the planet. Because the vortex, the unseen, controls the seen, the earth. So to influence weather patterns, you know what I mean? The effects of the ocean. Storms, hurricanes, cyclone, all that stuff got to do with the vortex. You know what I mean? Is that what happens when the pressure of Ajah bears down on heavenly kingdoms? Right. When Ajah come, it's equivalent to like hail and snow. You know what I mean? And what happens when that hail and snow drop? Sometimes it mess up our cribs. We got to go out there with the shovel and dig it up. So sometimes when Ajah come, Jehovah used that as a test for the gods to see how would they manage their kingdoms when things ain't going so good. You know what I mean? So when a tornado hits, when a hurricane hits, it devastates the land, decimates the land. It's a lesson. We got to rebuild, fortify it a little stronger, figure out what we did wrong. You know, if we built the levees too small, let's live up the levee some more. Let's put 15 feet on the levee. So next time that happens, it won't be like this catastrophic effect. That's the trials and error that we go through to be masters. Because Jehovah said we got to be masters of the element. In order to be masters of the element, we got to go through trial and errors of the element. The elements meaning nature, weather, floods, hurricanes. You know what I mean? That's mastering the elements. Exactly, mercy. Peace, mercy, shalom, sis. Everything is birthing experience with birth pains, right? The worlds are in birth sacks, just like we were in the womb. And that's exactly what's going on, because the earth is a womb. The earth is a womb for the souls of man and woman. The earth acts as an incubator, and we are like fetuses within this incubator. But there comes a time when these fetuses, or these seeds got to come out into the real world, breaks the incubator, breaks the fluid that comes into the real world. And look at the space that the baby is in when he's in the womb, in the sack. That's his home for 9 months. That's all he knows. He don't know about the outside world, but he's confined in that world for 9 months. But then he has to be born. He can't stay there forever. Just like us on the planet. We can't stay here forever. We got to resurrect and ascend. It's called being born. It's called resurrection, right? So with that being said, the earth acts as a womb. So when we cross over in spirit, the body acts as a womb for the spirit. See what I'm saying? The spirit is encased in the body. So the corpse acts as a womb to the spirit. And death is the birth of the spirit, where the spirit is free from the corporeal body, out the physical womb or the corpse. And then you're born into the atmosphere. That's the womb. That sustains and nurtures your spirit in the atmosphere. There's atmospheric foods. The same way we got foods on earth and we got to sustain our physical body. What makes you think the rules is any different in the spiritual world or in the atmospheric world? The atmospheric world is not sustaining itself by itself. It works works hand in hand with the earth. Everything on the earth evaporates. Evaporation. Everything has a percentage of evaporation that evaporates into the atmosphere on a gaseous level. And these angels can use these atmospheric particles to build things. No different than we use dirt and shit to build brick. You know what I mean? We could take gas and make it into a solid. We could take gas and make it into a liquid. We can manipulate the minerals. So in like manner, the angels can manipulate the evaporated minerals that evaporates off trees, grass, herbs, fruits, even poisonous gases that carbon monoxide, all the gases that emits into the atmosphere, the angels use that for sustenance in the lower heavens to deal with the heavenly kingdom. Owaspi explains this, showed you the connection between the physical and the atmospheric world through evaporation. Our hair looks like a vortex, exactly. Everything grows in a spiral. Everything is in motion in a spiral. You know what I mean? The reason your hair grows in a vortex That's based off the minerals. First, the reason why your hair is black is because of carbon, right? The reason why your hair spirals and turns is because of iron. Iron is a magnetic mineral. Yep. Iron is because your hair coils. Carbon is because your hair is black. Carbon and copper is because your skin is brown or dark skin. Your blood is iron. See that? Your frame, your skeleton is calcium. So your body's made up of minerals. But iron is the only mineral that's magnetic in nature. It draws in other minerals. That's what Dr. Sebi was explaining with the herb kingdom. That iron is a mineral that draws in other herbs. So if you have an iron-based plant, you're going to draw in other minerals. You draw in those minerals through the electrons. You know what I mean? The more a cell gathers electrons, the greater the electricity of that mineral is. So the more electrons to an iron-based cell, the greater the iron can carry the oxygen. You know what I mean? The greater the carbon cell, carbon is magic. The mystery is in the carbon. The reason you have dreams is because of carbon. When you look at your endocrine system, which is responsible for your dreams, because the pineal gland, that's part of the endocrine system. You know what I mean? Pineal gland is carbon. Serotonin, melatonin, that's carbon. So in order to have a psychedelic experience, carbon has to be present. In order to get there, nitrogen is the key. Nitrogen is the booster. Nitrogen and carbon is the key components tapping in to the dream world, the psychedelic world. Cats will take mushrooms. You know what I mean? We take mushrooms, the key components to mushrooms or the mineral is carbon and nitrogen. You know what I mean? Nitrogen acts as a booster. It accelerates the vibrational frequency that plays on the carbon cell. And you raise that vibrational frequency and tap in. Keep in mind, 700, 800 nanometers. So when you tap in, meaning you raise the vibrational frequency outside of that, now you're seeing things that you ain't seeing. Your eyes is closed, but you're having visions. You're having experiences in the dream world. How you get there? Who constructed this place? See that? You done tapped the fuck in. You done tapped in. You done raise your vibrational frequency where now you seeing what you normally wouldn't see with your naked eye. And that was due to the minerals of nitrogen and carbon. Those are the key components to tap in. People who take mushrooms and when they tap in, yeah, it's carbon. Mushroom ain't nothing but carbon. And nitrogen is present on mushrooms. So those are your two minerals. That's where they tap in the those who take mushrooms. You know what I mean? That's what it is to be on the science show. They probably can reach us better in our dreams because of our frequency change to sleep, right? Exactly. And see, the body is just a corpse for the. It's a vehicle for the spirit. But the spirit, just like how we get into a car and drive, but then what happens after a while? We get tired of driving. We got to pull over and come about this motherfucker for a little while. Spread your legs, spread your back, because you've been driving for 18 hours. So the spirit, which is your angelical side, in your physical body works the same way. When you get tired and sleepy, that's the spirit telling you, I need some rest. You've been working, I've been driving this vehicle all day. I need to put your ass in a spell, which is sleep. Sleep is a form of spell, because you can't stop sleep. You know, you could stay up for a day or 2, 3 days, but when sleep hits you, it's gonna put your ass out. That's the greatest drug, sleep, because you can't escape sleep. You can't just be up for 24 hours a whole week. When sleep hit your ass, it's gonna put your ass out. So that's the sleep is the body, is the spirit, is the angelical side of you saying, I need a break, I need a rest. And you fall asleep, and your spirit gets a time to come out the body, or if it's just resting there with the body. But when you sleep, you could actually come out your body. What they call astral projection and all that, you could actually, you know what I mean? Your spiritual body could actually come out your physical body during sleep. Plenty of times I see myself sleeping. I'd be like, what the fuck? I'll wake up and be like, damn, nigga, I know I see myself sleeping. I was looking down at myself from the ceiling. I'm looking down from the ceiling, looking down at myself, looking at myself sleep. And I'm conscious of this shit. I'm like, yo, I'm at the top of the ceiling, looking down at myself in the bed sleep. And I'm aware of that shit. And it's crazy because the room that I was sleeping in, the top of it formed like a pyramid, like a triangle. So I was like, because I don't get that too much when I sleep at now. But when I was sleeping there with that room arranged the way it was, I was like, maybe it has something to do with that triangle dealing with vortex and energy. And it drew me up, drew my spirit up. And I'm looking at myself sleep. You know what I mean? If I would have been more conscious, I would have been like, yo, let me fly out this motherfucker. Or maybe I didn't, wasn't aware. But I do know for a fact that I used to sleep and see myself sleeping like, yo, what the fuck? And it happened to me a lot of times. One time I asked my man, because he was on a spiritual level. So I said, yo, son, let me ask you something. I said, you ever been sleeping and seen yourself sleeping? He was like, yeah, son, I had that experience too. And then we started talking about that shit like, damn, all right, I know I ain't bugging them. But in the Owaspy, it talks about how you could come out your spirit, come out your physical body and move around the spirit and be conscious of it. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. Who do you worship, brother? I'm new here. Oh, okay, we worship the Creator. The Creator, the incomprehensible Creator. And the way you know the Creator is through creation. The Creator is not a man or a woman that we look upon. We don't identify the Creator as an image. We identify the Creator as the incomprehensible. And we understand the Creator through the cycles and seasons of creation. So that's what we stand on. You know what I mean? We got doctrine, called the Owaspy, that we use as a base, as a guide, along with other texts, but Owaspy is the foundation because it renders up the most truth when it deals with your spiritual progression, what happens after we die, where we go, where we headed. You know what I mean? The difference between the Creator and the deities, who we call gods and goddesses. You know what I mean? Those are people like us, just with those titles. So we have an ecosystem of a spiritual understanding that we stand on. Eat snow, all right, no doubt. You know what I mean? Nitrogen. Because the earth got more nitrogen in it than oxygen. You see that? That's that booster. Where we at with it? DMT, exactly. You know what's going on then. My man Tony Brickhouse, is it Brickhouse? Something like that. My man on Facebook. You know what I mean? We know about the DMT. When you look at the molecular structure of DMT, carbon and nitrogen is the key components. That's what's triggering you to go into the psychedelic realm. You know what I mean? Dealing with on the scientific level, dealing with the minerals. Let me go to another spot in the park where it's more lit up. They be having dares and shit coming out here. I'm talking about the packs. I remember one day I was walking the dogs and I seen like 20 dares. Luckily I caught it because I was walking towards their path. And if I would have got like 20 more feet, they would have had me. I would have been right in their path. They could have attacked me and all that. So out here, we got dares in the woods. You know what I mean? I seen a dare one time. I tried to walk up to it. It was like a little baby dare. I tried to walk up to that joint. I tried to walk up to the dare and pet it, yo. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna go to another side of the park, see if we can get some more light. Vibe it out a little more. Go ahead in, yo. It's the vibes, you dig? I dream of some gods once years ago, street of gold, trees of gold. Right. Owaspi talk about that too. If you read the description of the heavenly kingdom that the Owaspi explains, it is mind-blowing. Because the magnitude, we may see a mansion and that shit may be big as hell, like damn, like, some of these wealthy millionaires or billionaires, you see some of these mansions and that should be like a whole acre, take up a whole acre of land, many different departments to that mansion. And when the Owaspi describe these heavenly kingdoms and they describe these heavenly mansions, it's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna be like, damn, okay, that's what's going on. You know what I mean? Because the expansion of the spiritual world or the atmospheric world, the atmosphere, the expanse is grander. So let's look at, the east and west of the earth, from east to west. The atmosphere, it's like an upside down pyramid, you know what I mean? The bottom, the point of the pyramid is the earth. And as you move upward, the expand spreads out as you go higher. So you have heavenly kingdoms, they miles long. You may have a heavenly kingdom that's like 10 miles in diameter and circumference and all that. You got heavenly kingdoms with billions of angels that Owaspi talk about. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? True God or false God. You know what I mean? Them heavenly kingdoms be built up. I'm like, damn. And when you read some of their descriptions, you know what I mean? It's mind blowing. It's like, damn, okay, that's what's going on. Hold up, nah, sit down. Wait, goddamn dog trying to jump up my lap and shit. All right, don't listen, do you? Come on. Come on, Noonie. There you go. Let me just come up here. Jado. Guy, my guy, what's going on, guy? I see you. My guy. Take my leg off. Hold on for a second, family. What it do, all right? No doubt. Yeah, I had dreams like holding objects or, you know what I mean? It's like you wake up holding the shit or, yeah. Dreams is crazy, yo. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest mysteries is dreams. But in the Owaspi, it talks about how the angels create subjective realities, like simulations. You know what I mean? Almost like in the Matrix when they had the simulation world, and they can make that, it just, when who was it, Neo, and he was teaching Neo the Matrix, and it was in that it was just a white backdrop. You know what I mean? That's like, and then that's like the simulation room, and from there they could upload any program, a city, a desert. So in the spiritual world, you have angels that could create subjective realities. You know what I mean? So when we dream, these angels could put us in these subjective realities to challenge our spirit. You know what I'm saying? They may put you through challenges in your dreams. And it may be an encouragement or a test of spirit. They're working on your spirit. But they know eventually you're going to be in spirit. So as you're a corporeal dream, now this is where your guardian angels will probably interface with you the most. Not while you awake, not during the bright of the day, but when you sleep. That's when your guardian angel is the closest contact to you, when you sleep. A lot of times we go to sleep with, like we may have a question that may need answer, but you sleep on it and you wake up and the answer is there. The guardian angel is working when you're sleeping. So when you have dreams are subjective realities. It's like simulations. Watch me talk about in the Book of Frackenpatty, it talks about how they created subjective realities for the angels that were docile and dumb, who didn't know Maybe the ones who died in infancy, they didn't learn corporeal things. And they may have to be taught with objects and symbols. So they create subjective realities by mimicking the planes of the earth to make mortals familiar with what they know. So just imagine you in a subjective reality. You got lakes, trees, and you thinking this shit real, and it's a simulation. Yeah, Owaski talk about that. So it's not too far-fetched that the mystery of dreams is angels creating simulations for your spirit while you sleep to train your spirit. You know, I used to have dreams, shit still happen sometimes, where, you know, I may be running from something, running from somebody. You know what I mean? But then it comes a point in the dream where you face it like, you know what, I ain't gonna run no more. You challenge yourself in the dream and you overcome that challenge. And next thing you know, you may not have no more dreams with you running. Just using that as an example, because I know people who talk about dreams and they running in their dreams. Like somebody chasing them or somebody always getting at them. I remember one dream I used to have where I used to go to this house in the attic. And it's crazy because that's how the dream will start. With me coming up the stairs and I look up and see the attic. And I don't know what it was, but it was pushing me to go up into the attic. But I used to have these dreams. And I used to be like, damn, I keep going to the same place, the same dream I'm having. And it's the same house set up the same way. It ain't like shit changed up. So I was like, damn, okay. There's something else going on with this shit. This ain't no average shit. So when you start understanding more of the spiritual side, the spiritual technology, you're gonna better understand what's going on the physical and on the spiritual, the mental plane. In the Bible, it mentions cannabis. Does Owaski mention anything like this? Well, Owaski talks about, you know, the herbs. It doesn't necessarily talk about marijuana, but marijuana is an herb. And Owaski say in the Bible that I command man to change from a carnivorous man of contention to an herbivorous man of peace. It says that in the Owaski. So when you look at marijuana, you put herbs, that's an herb, and you think of peace, that go hand in hand. You know what I mean? You could do herb plenty ways. You ain't got to smoke it. You could brew it. You know, nowadays they're making all type of stuff with it. You know what I'm saying? It's medicinal. So when something have medicinal values, you can do a lot with it. So anybody who, you know, talk about the weed or whatever, it got medicinal purposes. I recently moved and the house I'm renting is full of many drudges trying to inspire me to eat meat. You got drudges inspiring you to eat meat. Temptation is real, my brother. You know what I mean? I haven't eaten meat. You know, how old am I? 41? I'm 41, right? I stopped eating meat when I was 16. Then I stopped eating fish when I was 26. You know what I mean? I haven't ate it. But temptation is real. You could be tempted. You know what I mean? You may see a nice salmon glazing. I don't eat meat, but I'd be like, damn, nigga, that shit look good. Although I won't eat it. You know what I mean? But if that was the last thing on the planet and I'm starving and ain't nothing to eat, yeah, eat the fucking salmon. You know what I mean? Eating salmon, it ain't gonna kill you. You see what I'm saying? So don't get too holy or pure. You still an animalistic. We still an animalistic being. We still have lower self. We still have a carnal side of us. So although we may be vegetarian, you could easily slip back into being a carnivore. You could easily slip backwards. You know what I mean? And then start up again. How many people I know became vegetarian, they stopped eating meat, then they started back eating meat, and they stopped eating meat. See, life is a progress, man. No, nothing happened overnight. That's why anybody trying to play holier than thou, like they just totally eating vegetables, and they think that they're better than you because of that, because they got a better diet. You know what I mean? Now the problem becomes spiritual, because although you're physically purifying your diet, you're allowing your ego to stroke you now. Because the Neurospy says to purify the body is easy, but to purify the spirit, the mind, is not so easy. That's when Yahshua was saying things like, You know, if you look upon a man's wife with lust, whatever, it's a sin. But if he said, if you think about it, it's a sin. So he just raised the bar. Yahshua just raised the bar. He said, nigga, if you think about it, it's a sin. So what does that tell you? You got to purify your thoughts. You got to purify your mind. So you could be a vegetarian and your spirit be impure. Although your physical anatomy is in good health, but your spirit is what matters too. So it goes 50-50. You got to be balanced with it. You can't be too left and too right. I'm in control of my dreams, exactly. Once you become more aware, see, people who have dreams will better know how to navigate in the dream world. Because the more you do anything, you get familiar with it, and you get more trained in it, and you just be more aware of it. So if you damn near dreaming every other day or every day, and yeah, you're gonna be more connected. But you got some people who may not never dream, you know what I mean? They say we dream every night, but sometimes we be too engrossed on the carnal that we can't tap in. I'll give you a secret. If you really want to dream, fast. Go on a fruit and vegetable fast, or just don't eat no food at all. Eat no food for a couple days and hollow thy body. So when you hollow thy body, you get out all the food, all the carnal food in your system. Drink water, liquids. Now your vessel is more conducive to tap in because it's not engrossed. To tap into the dream world, you got to be moving at a vibrational frequency outside of visible light, right? So your body got to be hollowed. It got to be more at a vibrational frequency where it can tap in. Because you can sleep and know what you sleep. You sleep. When you sleep, you in it's blackness until you wake up. You ain't seeing nothing but blackness because you ain't tapped in. When you have a dream, you done tapped in. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you have a vivid dream, think about what you ate that day. Think about, did I eat the previous day? Check your diet. Because your diet got a lot to do with how your endocrine, your pineal gland, your serotonin, your melatonin. If your melatonin and your serotonin, for your melatonin and your serotonin to operate properly, you got to make sure you maintain the fluids that supports serotonin, melatonin, which is your basic carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But we supply the hydrogen and oxygen, but we deplete ourselves with carbon because we don't find carbon in our food source. So a lot of times when the carbon cell and serotonin and melatonin become dehydrated, bang, it blocks the connection. You ain't having no dreams. You just seeing black until you wake up the next day. When you hydrate that carbon cell and that serotonin and melatonin get to operating properly, bam, you go to sleep and you tap in. And another way you could tap in with dreams is like when the body is real exhausted and tired. Go on a fast 3 days and exercise and exhaust the body and then hit the pad. Your ass to tap in. Your ass to tap deep in the realm. Wake up, you done remember the whole goddamn story from the time, you got dreams where you can remember that shit from the time it started to the time it ended. You can recall the whole dream. It's a reason for that. Them angels ain't let you forget that for no reason. They say, yo, we're gonna make sure he remember this. So when he wake up, he could tell the people what he's seen. See, sometimes in the scriptures it says, the children, they're gonna have dreams and visions. You know what I mean? A lot of people talk about people gonna have dreams and visions. And a lot of people talk about how angels inspire mortals to have dreams. You know what I mean? So it's a big ecosystem, a technological, spiritual ecosystem. System and order. The heavenly kingdom is structured with system and order. And we just ain't, the angels just ain't, so we ask the angels, what's a dream? They just say, oh, this dream is just a fragment of your matter. No, they ain't saying that. They gonna break down like, nigga, that's a subjective reality. It's a simulation. No different than you have a simulation on Earth. You know what I mean? That's the beauty about the WASP. It gives us awareness on these levels. X for the pieces. Peace. Thanks, brother. Reality. Peace. What's going on? Has become a trip. Seeing a golden macabre, bright gold like a honeycomb. It was beautiful. Exactly. You could tap in. I'm telling you. When you tap in, you start seeing objects. You ever seen them stars before? You ever got lightheaded and you see them stars? It's like blatant. It's like the stars look like metallic UV light. It's like metallic. It's like mercury. They're like mercury and they're like little balls flying and shit like that. The reason you see that, you done tapped in. Your brain done reached a frequency where you seeing stars and things of that nature. Orbs. You know what I mean? Because these things exist all around us. We just don't see it because we're not moving at that vibrational frequencies. Like it's rainbows. The spectrum of rainbows is all around us. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, get you a sprinkler in the sun, right? In the sun, and when the sun is up, and spray the sprinkler in the sky, and you'll see a rainbow in the water of the sprinkler. You'll see the rainbow. So it's showing you something that's there, that the water is showing you through the sprinkler, that we can't see just with the naked eye. It took the water molecules to show the vibrational frequencies of visible light as the rainbow right there in the goddamn sprinkler as the water flowing. You can see that. You can see the rainbow. So what does that tell you? Just imagine how beautiful the spirit world is when you tap in and see these colors, these bright hippie type colors and shit. Yeah, yo, this shit deep. Kizzy Rock. I see you, Kizzy Davis in the building. Bro. Sis, what's good? I dream a lot. Yeah, see, a lot of the sisters, the sisters is like, the females is important and shit too, because the sisters have the visions. They don't want those, the real oracles. And in the movie 300, it showed it. When Leonidas went to go inquire, the oracles about the Persians. When he went to the priest, remember when he had to climb that mountain and he got to the top and the priest was up there and he had to give the priest money, some shekel of gold, and he wanted to know what is his fate with the Persians, and the priests looked at each other, whatever. Then in the back was a lady sitting on like a dang, not like a couch, but she was sitting on like a plane. Like she was sitting on something, like laying down. And the way they showed her that she was entranced. She was in a trance. She was tapped in. You know what I mean? And the priest went to the chick who was the oracle, whispered, and the oracle with the female whispered in the priest's ear the answer. But they went through a woman to get the answer for the spirit world. So it's not just men who have revelations, dreams, and visions and become prophets. You have women that can become prophetess. You know what I mean? Olaspi talk about goddesses too. Like, I had somebody ask me who just believed the Bible, an Israelite. He asked me, are there women angels? I said, well, goddamn. That's how backwards these niggas got you with your spiritual system, to ask if there will be women angels. You know what I mean? Ain't you a man? How you got here through a woman? And you think they're not going to be present as angelic beings? So that shows you how far behind a lot of these Israelites and Bible believers are when it comes to the spirituality of things. They got a lot to learn. They better hope to learn it now while they're alive, before they cross over in spirit and be used as a pawn in the hands of these false gods, or get caught up with these wandering spirits who know no better. You dig? Exactly. Sometimes it feels so real, you don't know if it's the real or a dream. That's real talk. You know what I mean? I had a couple of those. Matter of fact, I had a couple of those where I woke up and I was pissed. I'm like, nigga, that shit wasn't real? I'm like, oh, man. Damn, especially the ones when you may be having sex or whatever. Now, let's be realistic here. You know, you may have them dreams where you feel like you have sex or whatever, and that shit seem real. And then you wake up out that shit, you be like, damn. You know what I mean? Especially like you may be a female, especially like in high school, maybe a girl you may have liked and you had a dream having sex with her. Wake up mad as a motherfucker. You go to school the next day looking at her side like, she looking at you like, why you looking at me like that? Not knowing you done had a dream of having sex with this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So I understand about how dreams can be realistic. You know what I mean? I had a dream where I was in a field. I was on a plain. It was just a grassy plain. It was nothing on the plain but grass. That's all I seen in the sky. It was like grass and sky. And it was a cloud. It was a cloud, but the cloud was in the form of a UFO. It looked like a saucer. The cloud was in the saucer, but it was a cloud, and that cloud descended all the way down to the grass, and then it sprinkled out water like a sprinkler, and then it rose back up. And I was like, damn. I'm like, that shit ain't normal. Clouds don't do that. But in the vision, I'm seeing this. It's just a plane. That's it. Almost like when, like in the countryside, when you look left, right, east, west, you don't see nothing but grass and sky. No trees. Now, it wasn't even no trees. It was just a plane. And when I seen that, I was like, this look like they getting ready to host some people here. Because in the Owaspy, it talks about how they'll take colonies of spirits off the earth to atmospheric plateaus that are just plains. It may just be a plain of grass. You know what I mean? Sit these niggas down for a minute, let me holler at you type shit. But it talks about these things. But yeah, though, dreams and visions, yo, that's a whole nother level. Exactly. Fast and take some carbon and hydrogen to DMT. Yeah, you're gonna be all right. My man, who, you know what I mean? He be tripping like that. So he told me one day, because he know I be on the spiritual levels. So he said, yo, I could talk to you about this. He said, yo, one day he had a trip with the DMT. And he didn't even know the name of the deity. He just told me, he said, yo, reality. He said, yo, I seen that Egyptian dude with the dog face. I said, Anubis? He said, I guess. He said, yo, when I tapped in, the nigga was right there. And then he touched me, bruh. He said, when he touched me, I just froze up. But this is what he's telling me based off his experience. He didn't even know that was Anubis. He just knew that from seeing the Egyptian deities, he just knew that, oh, all right, that's the one with the dog head. But he said he tapped in and seen that deity. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was that actual deity. You know what I mean? Because angels could take on form and likeness of anything angelically. An angel could come to you and look like your long-lost grandmother, and it's not her. That's another part that's kind of, you know what I mean, deep, that the Owaspy talks about, how evil angels could take on the shapes and forms of relative, long-lost ones and deceive you. I was like, damn, you serious? So you trying to tell me I don't even know if that's my mother or not in spirit, or my grandmother or my great-great-grandmother? You trying to tell me that could be a deceiving angel? I said, wow. So how do we really even know if that's really your relative? Because these angels could break the history down and really act like that. That's them. A good example of that is, I don't know if y'all fuck with scary movies. I love scary and horror movies. I fuck with that shit big time. But it's this movie called, what's that movie? The Conjuring. It was, I don't know, it wasn't the first one. I think it was either the second one or the third one, whatever. But the white chick, the old white lady who was playing like the oracle, who was playing the medium, she had a friend, and the friend kind of, you know, he was part of the whole medium thing too, trying to help banish spirits or whatever. But it was a scene where the spirit got into the house that they was trying to deal with the spirit. The husband got possessed by the spirit. You know what I mean? So the husband ended up killing the friend of the medium. You know what I mean? So he done crossed over. She know him on a certain level. You know what I mean? As far as like, I know his personality, I know his ways. So later on in the show, she had to tap in the realm to go find a young boy. So she tapped in the spirit realm, and now she's moving through the house spiritually looking for the boy. But it comes a part in the show where she sees her friend in the spirit realm, and she gets blinded by that for a second because she gets caught out there. So she sees him, she runs and hugs him. Oh, I miss you, where you been, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I want you to come here with me. I want you to come here and stay here with me. And she's like, well, you know I can't do that. I got to go back and blah. He's like, no, just slit your wrists and be with me. Just kill yourself and be with. So when she heard that part, she was like, that's when her face dropped, because then she knew that that wasn't him. And then when she caught on that that wasn't him, the nigga who was playing her friend started laughing in a demonic voice, like, like the motherfucker showed that that's not her friend, but a damn evil spirit. It was the goddamn, I forgot what deity it was, but it showed that the evil spirit used her friend to try to blindside her and get her off guard. So even though Waspi shows you that even if your mother and father come to spirit, if they don't got good intentions, it don't matter. If great-great-great-grandma who done passed come to you in spirit and she off, it don't matter. Break away. So that shit get deep, yo. And I was just using that movie as an example. You dig? Jigsaw puzzle, hell yeah. Saw Jigsaw? Yeah, that's my shit right there. All of them. The first one, yo, that was the illest one to me. The way how dude played that whole time, he on the ground the whole time. You know what I mean? He put enough morphine in him to where he gonna let this whole shit play out while he playing that. I said, yo, that's some genius ass shit. You know what I mean? That's some genius. That's some high level shit he working on. But yeah, like a lot of them shows like The Conjuring, Insidious, a lot of those shows tap into the spirit world and shows you the nature of how these evil spirits or the drudges, how they operate. You know what I mean? Even with them, no, it was Insidious, not Conjuring, I'm sorry. That whole explanation I broke down, it was the movie Insidious, not Conjuring. My bag on that. It was Insidious. Now, Insidious was cold-blooded because the child, he tapped into the dream world and he was an expert dreamer. So he dreamt too far, he went too far out of the dream world, and that's when they called up the medium because he was like in a coma. And like, you know what I mean? He wasn't waking up. So when they called the medium's like, yo, he done tapped into the realm and went too far. He done lost himself. He don't know where he at. Because he don't know that he was dreaming and, you know, he don't know the limitations. So he in the spirit world lost while his body is in a coma. So look how deep that can get. So you got to be careful when you're dealing with meditation, spirituality, and tapping in, because you could get lost in the realm for real. And another being could be a host to your body while you in spirit. Somebody else inhabits your body. All that shit is real. That's where possession and obsession come in at. So Insidious, you know what I mean? A young boy tapped into the realm and went too far, and they called the medium. And the medium, who they called, the father of the child didn't know that that was his mother old-time friend. And what he didn't know was that he was a master medium as well. But as he grew older, he just, you know, you grow out of it and you don't know. But the mother friend knew from a child that he was a professional medium. So the father had to go into the realm to rescue the kid. So keep in mind, he's in doubt that this shit worked. So he's sitting in the chair and the medium is doing like the hypnosis on him. Like, listen to my voice, count to 10 or whatever. So he's sitting up there, you know, listening to count to 10. Then he's sitting in the chair. Then he gets up and goes, oh, this is not working. And then when he turn around, he see himself sitting in the chair. He done tapped in, but he thought the shit wasn't working. He done tapped in the realm. So now that he's in the realm, the medium knows this. So he says, follow my voice. She said something like follow my voice or listen to my voice or follow the sound or something like that. And then after a while, they disappeared in the room. The medium disappeared and he was fully engulfed in the realm. And then he went to go start looking for seeds. And then he came across other beings in the realm. You know what I mean? Crazy looking motherfucker. So that shit get deep because it talks about that in the Owaspi, how you could tap in the realm and move around the spirit. You know what I mean? Being guided by the deity, or you could be lost at sea. Yeah, I heard about the Fox sisters, you know what I mean? They try to use that as a, that was during the time of, they said like the Great Awakening and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I heard about that. But it's more spiritual revelations that coincide with the Great Awakening of the spiritual movement, you know what I mean? Spirits of nature mimicking the physical reality. Yeah, and these spirits are people, spirits of the dead. You know what I mean? People and animals, because even animals, their spirit exists after death, momentarily. Not forever. They dissolve back into the essence, but they have a time when they do exist in the spirit world. That's Anubis, yep. Insidious inside of us, exactly. And spirits get inside of you. You know what I mean? But the crazy part is that in the movie, with the eye catcher, is that the boy went too far in the realm and he got lost. Now, I had a sister, matter of fact, the same Israelite sister who told me about the reptilian story, you know what I mean, about the frogman in the 50s and the whole video I did, that same sister told me that her husband, her ex-husband, he was married to her and another woman, another Israelite sister. And he used to tap into the realm. He used to do, like, I guess, little seances, or, you know, some Israelites, some people practice the rites and ceremonies and try to tap into the realm. But you got to be real careful. You got to be real careful and take many precautions. So this what happened. She told me. She said the dude tapped in. He was to practice, you know what I mean, certain vibes. And then she noticed that the nigga wasn't the same. Like, he was a total different person. Like, yo, this dude acting different type shit, right? So she said one day she had a dream. And the dream was him in the dream telling her in the dream, that's not me. I'm here. I'm confined here. I can't get out. I'm stuck. But that's not me. That's not me in my body. She had that dream of her husband telling her that. She gets a call from the other wife saying the exact same thing in her dream. She had a dream saying the same thing, that the husband was stuck here and that's not him in his body. They both had the same dream and they both lived in different states. Saying that to say, be careful if you're trying to tap in, because I know a lot of females, they talking about they want to be witches. You know, a lot of cats want to deal with the orishas, you know what I mean? And do with the African spiritual system. Be careful. Because when you tap in that realm, you got to keep in mind, you're dealing with masters in that realm. You're dealing with people who know how to use you, because they see you tapping in. Oh, this nigga done peeked his head and look at this fool. He don't even know where he at. Yo, check this out. Watch this. You see what I'm saying? Owaspi talks about that. It talks about the professional reincarnators who engraft themselves on mortals and live through mortals. See that? It's the same shit. So if they living through you and they possessing and holding you, possessing and obsessing you, that means that they can hold your native spirit at bay. It's like somebody putting their hand over their mouth and holding you at bay like that, and they speaking for you. And you like, let me go, Yeah, they kidnapped, they hijacked your body. They hijacked your spirit. Because they got to hijack your spirit first in order to get to your body. So be careful. That's why I don't deal with none of that. I'm Caribbean, I'm West Indian, I'm from the islands. I know a lot about them type of things. About the spirituality, about conjuring up spirits. You know what I mean? If you conjure up a spirit, you got to know how to send it back. If you don't conjure that spirit, if you conjure up a deity or spirit and you don't send it back, that spirit could kill you, bro. Ask a voodoo priest if you think I'm lying. Ask a priest that is a voodoo priest from Haiti. Not these American priests, they be faking the funk. But ask like a Caribbean, somebody from Haiti. Or African but they got to be for real, because it's a lot of imposters. But if you come across a real voodoo priest or priestesses, and you ask them about conjuring up a deity or spirit, when you conjure that, just like the genie, when you rub that genie and bring him out the motherfucking thing, and you bring the genie out, nigga, you better know how to put that genie back in that motherfucking thing. I forget what you call it. In the little cage or whatever, in the little kettle. You better put that genie back in that kettle when you finish conjuring them up. See that? This is why you had priests. You had rites and ceremonies to these things. It's an operation on how to do these things properly. But if you think you're just gonna get a couple crystals, go in your room, and start creating a pentagon and start conjuring up this on your own, you could be in great danger. You know what I mean? You could be in great danger, especially if you're not dealing with the creator. Some of y'all ain't dealing with the creator. Some of y'all dealing with deities and middlemen. Y'all calling up on the ancestors. Y'all call up on the Orushas, the Orishas, Shango, the Thunder God. Y'all calling them up. So they using you as a pawn because they're like, oh, look, they trying to tap in. They willing to be a willing servant. Let's use them. Let's get them. Bam. Next thing you know, you done tapped in. You speaking to them and everything. You telling your people, yo, I done tapped in. I done spoke to Shango. There are people that'll tell you, yeah, I done spoke to Shango, the god Shango. Man, you ain't speak to Shango. You speak to a spirit that's using you and manipulating you because he see where your weakness lies at. You just tapping in. He been in around for thousands, hundreds of years. So it gets deep like that. Exactly. The OASP explains that the lower someone's vitality, the more a spirit may influence by obsession and possession. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's deep. See, your Bible ain't talking about this. This is what your Bible ain't talking about right here. You know what I mean? This is the stuff you need to know. The Bible got you worshiping the God in the image of yourself, and he gonna cast you in hell if you don't do right. You following one of these goddamn judges we talking about right now. These evil spirits, that's who you following if you're dealing with these deities. Return to the Creator. That's your safety net. The Creator is your safety net. You know what I mean? I don't give a damn what you go through, what evil is spirit. When you're dealing with the Creator, you're going to be hedged with the wall of protection, a wall of light. See, one thing about the spirits of darkness, they don't like light. The spirits of darkness, they run from the light. The spirits of darkness, they do their dirt in darkness. You know what I mean? Nighttime, that's when what they say? That's when the freaks come out. That's when the wolves come out. That's when the fiends come out. In the hood, nighttime, 12 midnight, that's when the fiends come out. That's when the hookers come out. That's when the drug dealers come out. That's when the robbers and the shooters come out. Most of the murders is done during midnight and 6 a.m. They just had a murder this morning, 6 a.m. A couple days before that, another murder at night. Because the spirits of darkness work in the night. But if you bright that fucking night with some light, you light that bitch up, them niggas gonna get the fuck away. Spirits of darkness can't bear the light. And the way you increase your light, because you are a light being, is by eating the right foods, by eating fruits and vegetables, raising your vibrational frequency. By raising your vibrational frequency, you increasing your light. You ever turned on a light? You ever dealt with like if you deal with like cameras, or if you deal with lighting, just lighting period, you have certain lights that got the knob. You could turn it to show you the volume of light. So when you first turn on a light, it's like a candle, like a dim light, but then you could turn that bitch and crank it all the way up. And then sometimes you got to turn your eye away because it's too bright. The more your light shines, the further away them spirits of darkness is going to run because they can't bear the light. You remember what I said? When the light is too strong, they prostrate and fall in their face. So when you come through the shadow of darkness and you the light, them angels gonna prostrate on their face as you walk through the light, as you walk through the darkness and light, as a light being. So this is why it's important to be on your vegetable and your fruit, your diet. This is the reason why Jehovah said, I command you to change from a carnivorous man of contention to an herbivorous man of peace. Because the herbs is going to increase your vibrational frequency. By increasing the vibrational frequency, you're strengthening your spirit. Your spirit is light. So you increase your light. You have some people that may be around you and they can't be around you for too long because you radiating, you evaporating, you radiating light. You emitting light off your skin. You emitting heat off your skin. That's why they say a bunch of black people in the room shit get hot, because that's light. It's like taking a whole bunch of flashlights and putting them in a room. It's going to increase the heat. If you increasing the heat, that means that light in there strong. See that? And it doesn't necessarily have to be with black people. It could be with any person because everybody emits light. We are light frequency beings. The angelical body is light. As you raise up in the realms, it gets brighter. You have angels in the first resurrection that cannot take the light of the second resurrection because their vibrational frequency hasn't matured to deal with the light. Just like when you sleep and you wake up and turn on the light, you can't look. The light is too bright. You block your eyes, or you may take the light back off. You see that? So the spirits of darkness can't bear the light. Communicator Yakub, peace, beloved. Greetings, Selah. Much love, eternal beloved, for keeping it real always. No doubt, man. You know, keep it 100. Sydney, Australia in the building. You know what I mean? We got the continent of Pan in the building. You know what I mean? Australia, the Pacific. I was just doing some research on the Pacific earlier. You know what I mean? Today and stuff. Just watching, studying the tonography of the ocean floors of Pan, because that's where the continent was sunk underwater. So the floor of the ocean of the Pacific will be unlike the Atlantic and any other area of the ocean, being that this mighty continent sunk underwater. And when you look at the Pacific Ocean and you look at the expanse from Japan all the way to California, you see how wide the ocean is. You could tell how massive the continent would have been. The continent of Pan would have been bigger than Africa. Look at the Pacific Ocean and then look at Africa, and you will see how massive the continent of Pan would have been. Now, we look at Africa as the mother continent. That's a big ass continent. But Pan was bigger than Africa. So you got all that history gone. The Creator submerged that continent, and all that history is gone, forgotten. It started off like anew. Like we starting off as new beings. Like a new heaven and earth. Like prior to that shit ain't even exist. I was like, wow, that's deep. So we got 48,000 years of history that we don't even have. Owaspi called that the synopsis of 16 cycles. It's from the creation of man to the 16th arc cycle. It's just a synopsis. It talks about the harvest of souls in each arc cycle under the Etherian reign. So that's 50,000 years from the creation of man to the flood. That's history that's totally eradicated. And in the 10th arc cycle, that was the first era of civilization. So when you hear people talking about the Atlanteans or Atlantis, pre-Diluvian or pre-flood, they're trying to connect that there was a pre-civilization or civilization before the flood. But in the Owaspi, it talks about that civilization rose up in the 10th arc cycle after the creation of man, 30,000 years from Adam or Asu or man, right? So the flood was the 16th or at the beginning of the 17th arc cycle. So you got 6 arc cycles, 6 3,000-year periods from the era of civilization to the flood that we don't even have a clue about. So I'm like, wow. From the flood to where we at is 8 arc cycles. And look at the history we got from the flood to our present time. Look at the history we got just from the last 6,000 years, from the pyramids, from the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom in Egypt, from the Persian rulership, from the Greeks conquering, to the Latins, to English, to where we at now. Look at all that history in just 6,000 years, let alone 25,000 years from the flood, and let alone another 50,000 years prior to the flood from the creation that we don't even know about. So although Owaspi is rendering up the heavenly records of the heavenly proceedings, there's a whole 48,000 years of earth history we don't even know about. You know what I mean? Owaspi talks about the time of Apollo, where the humans of man became how we are today. We didn't always have this perfect structure, perfect feet length, arm length. You know what I mean? Owaspi talks about how the physiology of man was beautified 15,000 years ago, 18,000 years ago. But just imagine how man, the features of man, how animalistic in nature man was pre-flood. You know what I mean? Homo habilis, Homo erectus. You know what I mean? Some of the Australia, some of them like the early races of men. I get tongue twisted when I be saying them names and shit like that. But pre-Homo erectus, you know what I'm saying? It gets deep, yo. Question: if spirits of darkness hate the light, how do they disguise themselves as angel of light? Great question, because those are more advanced angels. Like the drudges, the spirits of darkness, those are more wandering spirits. They don't know how to. They haven't trained themselves or educated themselves to that point. But the spirits who are more cunning and more deceptive, they could do that. Like the false gods, they manifest as light as well. They manifest as light beings. So it's levels to the darkness, semi-darkness, light, semi-light, bright light. So it's realms to it. But the lowest, the drudges, the lowest angels, those are the ones that are mainly stay in the darkness. Those are the ones who don't seek no resurrection. But the angel who came to Abraham trying to come as a minister of light, he had a plan. You know what I mean? He had an agenda. But a lot of these other wandering spirits, they have no agenda. They have no plans. No different than a cat on the street. No plans, just looking to afflict evil without even, like a rebel without a cause. That statement like that is crazy. No doubt. Thank you for the time and energy for this knowledge, no doubt. You know what I mean? I like to exchange knowledge. That's what it's about, yo. No doubt. Exactly. The highest mountain in the world is on the Pacific shelf that Ape and his boy sank. Exactly. Now think about it. You got like Hawaii. Hawaii's in the middle of the Pacific, and it's a little island. So if Pan was here, Hawaii may have been a mountaintop. Because the mountaintops, because in the Owaspy, he describes that, you know, Pan had mountains. You know what I mean? Like high-raised mountains. And a lot of those mountains was north of the country. North of the country would be like coming to Japan. Coming to China along that coastline right there. That little arch right there. You know what I mean? That's why on the coast of Okinawa, Japan, the island of Okinawa, Japan, that's where you see the underground monuments, the underground megaliths, the big stones, like little pyramids or blocks. And that's right off the coast. You know what I mean? So if the continent was above water, man, them things would be sitting high. So you have a whole lost civilization. That's what they talk about, the Atlantean civilization, the lost civilization. They talking about Pan, really. The mystery is in the Pacific Ocean. The mystery is not in the Atlantic Ocean. The mystery is in the Pacific Ocean. If y'all looked up the Ring of Fire that I said the other day, you will see the instability areas in the Pacific, and it's hedged around from Japan coming around to China, coming around to Alaska, coming to California. You see the Ring of Fire. It's like a hedge. And these are areas where there's fire under it's volcanic activity in a sense. You know what I mean? Molten lava, fire under the water. How that get there? See what I'm saying? Water puts out fire. So how did fire maintain to be underwater, encapsulated in you know, like volcanic lava and things of that nature? You know what I'm saying? It gets deep, yo. It gets deep. Yeah, dark matter. Yeah. Dark matter, we'll have to identify dark matter as a mineral because everything in creation is made up of minerals. So we'll have to address what dark matter or what mineral makes up dark matter. And the darkest mineral you have in creation is carbon. So carbon is the key component to dark matter. You know what I mean? If you want to get light, if you want to light a barbecue, you have a barbecue and you get you a charcoal. That charcoal ain't nothing but carbon. But you gotta, when you put that fire to it, it light up. It's a fuel for light. It's a fuel for fire. You know what I mean? In order to have a fire going, carbon got to be present. Carbon and oxygen. The oxygen will keep the fire going. Carbon is the fuel. No diggity. Yeah, yo. It gets deep, yo. It gets deep. Like I said, you ain't gonna get this knowledge from nowhere else, yo. Not on this level. You know what I mean? And I'm not even giving a lesson or teaching. I'm just freestyling. You know, if I was to sit down and organize this thing and put it with illustration and lay it out, you know it's gonna be dangerous. I'm just giving you this off the head, just getting familiar with these YouTube lives. But I'm gonna come with a couple lessons. Where I ain't gonna be like sitting here showing my face. I'm actually had the audio and had the illustrations and lay it out. You know, when I lay it out, my layout game is be stupid. it'd be hard to rebuttal because I try to make it to where it makes sense to coincide with creation, coincide with nature, you know what I mean? Coincide with the mineral domain. See, anytime you identify energy or like how the brother was saying, like dark matter, you got to identify the mineral makeup, because everything in creation is made of minerals. So everything got to be identified with minerals. Like, for example, if somebody say your body need protein, that's misleading because you're not telling me the mineral. So if somebody is anemic, what mineral is needed if somebody is anemic? You know what I'm saying? So if somebody is anemic, that means their iron is low. What mineral represents, their blood is low. What mineral represents blood? Iron. So if a person is anemic, they need plant-based iron to increase their oxygen in their blood cells and raise their iron count. You know what I'm saying? If somebody tells me, I'm suffering from arthritis, as an herbalist, I got to know the mineral that represents the body to identify what's aching so I can address it. So if somebody comes to me and says, does your tea help with arthritis? I got to know the answer to that. So when they say arthritis, I'm like, all right, that's inflammation of the bones. All right, if he got inflammation of the bones, whatever he's eating or drinking is causing a spike in his blood to inflame his bones. So his bones is made of calcium. So I'm like, okay, my immune system booster is high in calcium through the sea moss. That's a key mineral in the immune system booster. That's high in calcium. So I'll tell him like, take some of this immune system booster. It's high in calcium, it's high in oil, it's high in iron, and it's high in magnesium. Those are the minerals that's gonna help bring your bones back to vitality, or back from being dehydrated to hydrated. Because now what's gonna happen is that your blood is gonna clear away or bring down the pressure of the acid in the blood. You know what I mean? Because if you have a lot of acid in the blood, it's gonna increase. It's gonna cause high blood pressure for one thing, but then keep in mind, iron carries oxygen. So if your blood is acidic, the oxygen cell is gonna be acidic. That's carrying that cell to the organ. So if your bones, in order for your bones to stay lubricated, functioning properly or hydrated, it needs oxygen. Now, if that oxygen cell is positive, that's going to create inflammation, because inflammation or acid is positively charged cells. So in this case, the cell is oxygen. So the iron cell is already inflamed, carrying a positive charge oxygen cell to the calcium cell of the bones, and that's where the disturbance or the irritation is coming from. Because it's hot, it's like lighting fire to your goddamn skin. It's going to burn. So the aching that you're getting from arthritis is actually your calcium cell burning. And in order to stop that burning, you gotta first get rid of the acid in the blood and bring your blood back to well, it's always out. Your blood is already alkaline, but you gotta bring down the blood pressure to normal. And then you gotta feed your blood a lot of fluids, a lot of water, so you can make your oxygen cell negatively charged. See, a negatively charged cell is alkaline. A positively charged cell is acidic. Coming to science now. So oxygen, water, H2O, is negatively charged. It's alkaline. So the oxygen that's going into your blood to get to your calcium cell, it got to be negatively charged oxygen cells. Once you get negatively charged oxygen cells to your calcium cell in your bone, it's going to act as water. The same way the acid oxygen cell acted as fire, creating irritation, now the negatively charged oxygen cell acts as water. It starts to lubricate the calcium from its dehydration, quenching its thirst. See that? Your boy been doing this work. That's why I said, learn the minerals. It's 3 primary things in creation that engulfs everything you're going to deal with. One is the periodic table, which is the mineral makeup of everything in creation. So that's your basis. Anytime you're dealing with anything, you got to know and understand the minerals that come with it, the physical makeup. So the periodic table of minerals or elements is the physical makeup of everything in creation. The second key is the electromagnetic spectrum, which is the vibrational frequency of everything in creation. And third is the pH balance. The pH balance determines the existence of creation. So those are your three components. If you understand those three things, the pH scale, the table of elements, and the electromagnetic spectrum, you'll understand creation, because everything in creation is engulfed in those three key components. If you're going to have organic life, that's where the pH scale comes in at, because vegetation has to be vibrating or have to have a certain pH level in order to produce edible fruits. You know, if the soil is too acidic, it's not going to produce vegetation. It's not going to produce fruit. So the soil has to have some form of, so, you know, you can have slightly acidic soil, like 6.5, that's okay. Fruits and vegetables could still manage in that soil. And then you have more alkaline soil, rich soil, like tropical soil. That's where your tropical fruits coming at. They're highly charged electrically, negatively charged. So the soil plays a key. You know what I mean? So it gets deep, yo. It gets deep, deep. Yeah, it gets deep. So, you know what I mean? If you understand those three things, the periodic table of elements, which is the physical makeup of everything in creation. So when you look at everything in creation, understand that everything is made up of minerals. So when you look at them trees, know that that's carbon based. When you look at yourself, you look at your skin, know that that's carbon based. Look at your hair, you know that that's carbon based. When you look at your teeth, see that? I got gold, but your teeth are calcium based. So for somebody who has rotten teeth, that means their calcium is off. Phosphorus and calcium is your teeth. Phosphorus and calcium is your bones. You know what I mean? Your blood is iron. Your endocrine system is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Your skeleton is calcium, phosphorus. You dig? Yeah, though. Like I said, that's the three key components. Periodic table of elements. That's the physical makeup, the physical and spiritual makeup of creation. Because if they're using gold in the spiritual world, that's still a mineral that you find on Earth. So in the spiritual world, in the atmospheric world, they got minerals. They got all the minerals on Earth, and they got minerals that we're not even familiar with, that we don't know of. You see what I'm saying? So with that, that's your physical makeup. Now, the next thing is the electromagnetic frequency. That's the vibrational frequency of everything in creation. So if that's the case, nature is color-coded. If you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, visible light is the rainbow. That's all the colors, from orange to purple. From the low colors, the low vibrating colors is like orange, red. The mid-range is like green. That's 7. That's the pH scale. That's the midway. And then the high vibrational frequencies is your gold. I mean your blue and your purple, your dark blue and your dark purple. When you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, the highest vibrational frequencies in visible light is blue and purple. That's why the sky blue, because the sky is emitting that vibrational frequency for the sky to be blue. You know what I mean? When you look at the sun is yellow. That's emitting a certain vibrational frequency. When you may look at the sunrise, it may be red, a big ass ball of fire. But then when you look at the sun at high noon, it's brilliant. You can't even look into it. It's bright, right? But why is it a big ball at evening and it's more like a brilliant star at high noon? That's due to the vortex. That's due to the electromagnetic frequency. Because the frequencies at high noon, when the sun is at high noon, is vibrating fast. It looks like this right here. See how that light is? That's how the sun look at high noon. But then when you come to evening, you could actually look and see the sun. It's just a big wall of fire. It's not brilliant. That's because the vibrational or the electromagnetic frequency at the horizon is slower. When the vibrational frequencies is slower, it works as a magnifying glass. It magnifies things. That's why the sun, even the moon, when you look at the moon, when the moon rise coming over the eastern horizon, it'll be big. Like when they talk about the super moon and these big moons, you got to catch them when it's coming over the horizon, because that's where the vibrational frequencies or the wavelength are longer, and it magnifies. It works like the hemisphere. It works as a magnifying glass. It magnifies the objects to look bigger. But then when the moon gets to high noon or midnight, when it's standing above your head, it's not as big as it was when it was at noon. That's due to the vibrational frequency. It looks smaller now because the vibrational frequencies are moving faster. See that? So you could be deceived on the size of the moon based off that alone, based off the vibrational frequencies and where it's at and where it's positioned on in the atmosphere. Because if you look at the moon during the eastern horizon when it's big, but then when you look at it midnight when it's above you, that's two different sizes. But it's not the size of the moon. It's actually the wavelength of the vortex. So you're actually measuring the wavelength of the vortex if you're measuring the moonrise or the sunrise from moonrise to high noon. You could determine the wavelength based off the magnitude that is being magnified. See, Owaspy teaches you these things when you understand the vortex. You know what I mean? Coming back to the vibrational frequencies of everything in creation. So when you learn the vibrational frequencies of everything in creation, being the electromagnetic spectrum, you can print that out. You can see it, look at it. You can see the gamma rays, the ultraviolet rays, visible light. You got microwave, infrared, radio wave. Radio wave is the lowest. It's the longest frequency. You know what I mean? The color red is a long wave frequency. So yeah, this is the science of creation. You dig? But yo, check it. I'm enjoying this, you know what I mean? But I gotta go put these dogs up. They're ready to go in the crib, yo. You know what I mean? But check it. Holla at me. I enjoyed the night. It was a good build. I mean, we touched on some good things. Like I said, ain't nobody gonna bring you these jewels on this level. Connecting creation. You know what I mean? Showing you that everything is connected. Ain't nothing separate. Everything is connected, yo. Nature is connected with the cosmos because everything in nature evaporates in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And then things precipitate to the earth, fall back to the earth from the atmosphere. As above, so below as above. You dig? So with that, I'm gonna catch y'all later on. You know what I mean? I might come on later on tonight. I said that the other night, but I was tired. I do a lot. Got a business I run. Got teas to ship out. So I'll be busy. So this be like my little off time for the moment. You know what I mean? But if I got the energy, I may come back on tonight. You know what I mean? Still gonna do that video, the characteristics of God. But it's gonna be based on, I'm gonna have it based on the Bible. You know, I'm gonna base the characteristics of God on the Bible. And I'm gonna use Owaspy as a reference to show the counterattack, to show you that, damn, all right, if this God is telling me to do all this evil stuff, but then hearing the Owaspy is telling me that God is against that. So which God am I to follow? Is the God of the Bible correct? Or is the Owaspy telling me that I shouldn't follow that God because in the Owaspy says these are the judgment that come with those type of actions. And if your God was honest, he would have told you the judgment that comes with the actions of engaging in warfare and dealing in death, how the spirits can retaliate on the person that killed them. Your God didn't tell you that, but the Owaspy informs you. So with that, shalom, blessings, and I'm gonna catch you on the next raid. Yep. Shalom, everybody.